Growing up, when you needed help, who was the first person that you asked? Well, for me, I grew up in a psychic intuitive family, and I was always taught to first ask my spirit and my spirit guides for help in everything and in every way. Spirit, guides, angels was such a normal part of our conversation at our dinner table and throughout my life. And so today I want to share with you some stories of what it was like to grow up in a psychic intuitive family and some of my favorite spirit guidance stories and the lessons that I learned that you can apply to your everyday life. Now, before I go any further, hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a 4th generation intuitive, and I teach you how to plug back into your innate divine self. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. If you're returning, welcome back. Don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell notification. And talking all about spirit guides, I'm so excited because March 22nd, I am teaching a live class, how to communicate and connect with your spirit guides. It's only $20. Usually my workshops are $40. It's recorded, sent to you. It's going to be jam-packed with not only tools, but have a live classroom practicum where we can also meet your spirit community. So head to the description box below to sign up, to learn more. I cannot wait to see you there. So let's talk about growing up in a family with spirit guides. Talking to my spirit guides in my family was about as normal as talking to you or the person next to me. It was such an ingrained part of our life. Some of my earliest memories are lying in bed with my mom, Sonia Tully, and my little sister, Sabrina. And we had a family guide named Rose. And Rose was a protector, a connector. And at the end of the day, the three of us would just be nestled up tight after reading books and singing. And we would talk to Rose. We would ask her for help. We would ask her for support. We would thank her for all of the ways that she helped us throughout our day. My mom, and just using your imagination is your portal to your intuitive listening. So she would ask us questions like, what is Rose's energy like today? What do you see? What do you feel? And we would take turns describing the different, not only Rose as our main guide, but the different guides and angels that were in our room. I remember laughing and talking and being with my little sister, because when you're kids, before we really develop our ego, our perspective of how things should be, we are such open little channels. That's why kids are so intuitive and are so connected to the spirit world. Also, their vibration is so high. The higher our vibration, the easier it is to connect. So just within that of having this really beautiful, playful, nurturing container on our guides. Every day when I would come home from school, we would have family dinner and we'd gather around and we would talk about the ways that our guides, our angels, our intuition helped support us. And I remember I went to a French school when I was a little kid, and I was not only very creative and not cut out for the French system, but they really stressed rote memorization as a way to learn, which was not conducive for myself. So often I would go to class and have these tests and what we call is a dictée, which a teacher would basically recite a paragraph and you'd have to copy it perfectly. Anyway, but these tests would give me so much anxiety, and I'd always find myself in fight or flight or not knowing the answer. And I remember always just asking my guides for help, asking my angels for support, asking my guides to help me with the solution on the test. Which bubble do I fill out? Feel a little this one. And those were just very normal ways. And when we start to have these conversations with our guides, with our unseen helpers, in a way that you would just talk to a dearest, most trusted, connected friend, confidant, support system, it opens the channel and bridge of communication, helps us notice the ways that our the signs and symbols and ways that our spirit guides help us and connect us. And one thing that I really found so now as an adult, now that I recognize that not everybody grew up in the same incubator, was language and also a community to share my experiences with. I know so often from working with clients one-on-one for way more than a decade now, blows my mind. One big thing that happens is my video, I believe it was last week, common ways that we get disconnected or block our guides, is that we get guidance, we see these symbols, we sign these different things, and then instead of acknowledging it, we think about it. Was that a guide? Was that a sign? But when we start to speak about our experiences, this is how Rose, our family guide, helped me. This is how Dot, my guide, helped me. This is how my angels helped me. We give language and we give voice. It helps to open up our throat chakra, helps to connect head and heart, helps us to become attuned to these different vibrations and frequencies that we need to pay attention and be sensitive to. So that was a big thing, to always pay attention. I almost felt like it was a game, that throughout the day, my sister and I would find and see all the ways that our guides, angels would help us. And then at family dinner, we would gather around and share. I'd be like, Madame Borsi, who was my, I believe, 4th grade teacher who I really struggled with. I'd be like, I asked my guides for help, and instead of, she was gonna call on me and did it. Angel cloak of protection. Madame Borsi is a whole other story. Or I was struggling with, I had a girl in my class who I will not name, who was constantly bullying me. And I would often ask my guides and my angels for help on how to navigate these different situations. I remember one time she had invited me over to her house. And of course, as a kid, I didn't know how to say no. And so I asked my spirit guides and my angels for help. And at that moment, one of my favorite teachers, this woman named Madame Doe, who was just lovely, came up to me. I was probably in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And she was like, Sonia, would you mind staying after class, after school, and helping me decorate the classroom for Mardi Gras tomorrow? And of course, my answer was like, yes. But that was the way that my angels and guides helped me like circumnavigate this situation that for me, I felt stuck in. I also remember another story that I love. So one time I grew up living in Chicago, and my parents, we would travel a lot. My mom used to be a flight attendant. So we would fly standby, which means we would not have assigned seats. We'd wake up at like 5 a.m. and go to the airport. And often it would be a waiting game to see if we could get on the airplane. We flew to, I believe it was France. We flew to Paris and had a few days, and we were coming home back to Chicago for school. We get there, we get to the gate agent, and she told us, she was like, there is absolutely no way that you are getting on this flight. Like, you guys are bottom of the totem pole. It's completely oversold. There is no way. You should just go home and save yourself the day. And I remember being at the desk with my mom, and she looks to my sister and she looks to me, and it's almost telepathically, all of us were like, that is not the vibe. That doesn't feel right. So my mom looked at her and she said, we just feel like we're just going to sit and wait and see. We'll just see. And the gate agent just almost scoffed at us like, good luck, lady, you're wasting your time. And we all went to go sit at the gate. And what I remember that was so interesting was not only were we asking our spirit guides and angels for help, but all 3 of us had this like ground and quiet knowing that we were going to get on that plane, even though we were told it was impossible. So time passes, they start boarding the flight. We're getting closer and closer to all of a sudden, they're finished boarding, and out of nowhere over the loudspeaker, would Miss Sonia Choquette please come to the gate agent? And the woman, who herself looked perplexed, was like, not only do we have 4 seats on this flight, but they're all first class. It's your lucky day. And as we had our magic standby first class seats from Paris back to Chicago, which was such a treat, but that was almost like a chuckle that was exchanged between us, because we knew it was like our guides and angels. We didn't get caught up in appearance. We didn't get caught up in what other people told us. We always asked for help, asked for support, and expected it. When you were building a relationship with your spirit guides and angels, not only in asking for help, but expecting them to help you. It's kind of like, if you've ever seen the book I Spy or Where's Waldo, when we start to put our attention and focus on the present, on the ways that our guides are helping us, we'll start to notice all of the simple little ways that our guides are helping us all along. And what also was just, it was a daily conversation. For example, if you couldn't find your keys, you would send your runner guides. If we would be driving around at the mall trying to find parking, we would ask our parking angels. It was a practice of consistently asking for help all the time, always, and in all the ways. And now, as an adult, what I really do every single day is ask and see how my guides help me. I remember one time when I was traveling, I had broken up with a partner. This was years and years and years ago, and I decided to go on a trip to Chile by myself. And I don't speak any Spanish. I had no plans. I fly into Santiago and I took a bus to this little beach town, and I brought my big backpacking backpack. I brought my little backpack that had my computer, my wallet, my passport, money, my journal, all my spiritual studies stuffed it. And then I had a tote bag that I had filled with my pillow, and I brought a stuffed animal, a chicken, with me because I was worried about traveling alone. So I had chicken and my pillow in the seat beside me. I had put the backpack up above, almost like an airplane, and had my backpacking backpack underneath the compartment of the bus. So we pull up to the edge of the town that I am going, and I hear, blah, blah, blah over the loudspeaker. And so I grab my bag, walk out, get my backpack, and go to set off to find my hostel. As the bus starts to pull away, I realize I have left my backpack with all of my important things in it. Every single thing that is important. Everything else could have been replaced, but my backpack with gold. And so I toss off my bag and I start booking it after the bus, waving my arms, please, please, please. Bus turns and I'm like, I am stuck. I am up the creek without a paddle. So my first inclination was like, I should just go to a cafe, maybe like have a beer and just lament and mourn the loss of these documents. When, of course, my training from my family, ask for help. Ask your guides for help. So I first ask my guides for help. I get on my cell phone. I call my mom. And I'm like, also start asking the guides. Ask guides, I need help. So my plan, I'm going to call an Uber. I'm going to get a taxi, and I'm going to go to my hostel, and maybe they'll be able to help me. And I speak no Spanish. So I wave down a taxi, and he's like, no. I wave down another taxi. And in Chile at the time, they had something called taxi colectivos, which is kind of like an Uber rideshare. So I fly down the taxi. He rolls down his window. I show him with my phone the name of the hostel that I'm going to. He nods, get in the back, and I sit there and I just go, just a sigh of just like, all of these emotions. And in and out of nowhere in the front seat was this gentleman who I had noticed, but he turns around. He says, "Oh my goodness, what's going on? How's your day today?" And he spoke English first and foremost, which really surprised me. It's something that's unique. So I said, I'm praying for a miracle because I accidentally left my backpack with all of my things on this bus. And he said, "Well, lucky for you, I'm a pastor, and you know what? I can help you with this miracle. What's going on?" Told him about my backpack. He's like, "We're going to go get it." Speaks in Spanish, so relays it to our driver. The driver drives to the bus depot. We get out. It's a little kiosk. He's speaking in Spanish and, all of this. And I'm just sitting there like, "Oh my gosh, please, angels, help me. And he turns and says, "We got it." The bus is pulled over. Jump back in the taxi. We go. This bus has been pulled over on the side of the road waiting for us. I board the bus. I get my backpack. And as I get my backpack, I'm walking down the aisle of the bus, and I look down and I notice a copper penny, American penny, heads up in the aisle. In my family, one of the big ways that our guides connected with us was through pennies, because my papa used to flick pennies and say, "In God we trust." So it's always been a family sign for our guides. So of course I look down, I see this penny, and I'm like, that was my guides. I get back in the Uber and I am elated. I am relieved. I am joyful. I am just amazed by the way that my angels and guides have helped me. And I'm thanking him profusely. And he was, he was chatting, and he also turned to me and says, something that's really interesting is the taxi driver, our driver, thank you. He says, usually he does not like to pick up other people. He likes one person in his car at a time. But he said that when he saw you, he felt a pull. There was something in him that told him to stop. So it was just such a beautiful mirror of how, and asking for how my guides and angels came in through a channel that I would have never expected, that tugged this taxi driver, that connected me with this person, that allowed me to get back everything that I needed within like 1 hour. Thank you, angels. I have so many different stories of the way that I growing up with spirit guides have helped me tremendously. But one of the big things that I'm going to encourage you to do is to think about the ways that your guides and angels have helped you. Think about those near misses, those unexplained, amazing miracles, those things where you're like, wow, that was incredibly good luck. Those are your guides and your angels. Start to share the stories, start to talk about them, start to give them language and voice. And what I love happens is that energy is infectious. You'll share a story, and then somebody else will, and somebody else will, and it'll remind you of something else. And all of a sudden it's like pulling a thread, almost like from a magician, where they could just pull the thread out of their hat for forever. Same. When we start to connect the dots, we start to realize how connected, protected, and how we're supported all along. So I hope that you enjoyed some of these stories from growing up in a spirit-guided family. And I hope that you practice them. Talk to your guides, talk to your angels, describe them, have fun with it. And most importantly, come to my workshop, March 22nd. I cannot wait to see you there. It's going to be so much fun. So head to the description box, head to my site. You can always book an intuitive reading with me. I do one-on-one mentoring, group classes. You can find all of that at soniatully.com. Check out our family podcast, and I will see you next week. Sending you all my love. Bye.